Director Stock.
Here.
Director Gould.
Here.
Chair Sanchez.
Here.
Let the record show that Director Wellman is out.
Thank you. We now have our flag salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. We have our public comment this evening. This portion of the meeting is reserved for any person desiring to address the board on any matter not on this agenda over which this board has jurisdiction. Please be advised, however, the Brown Act prohibits action on items that are not listed on the agenda or properly added to the agenda under the provisions of the Brown Act. The board members may, however, respond briefly to statements made or questions posed. They may ask a question for clarification or request staff to report back to the board at a later meeting. Also, the board may act to direct staff to place a matter on a future agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. Please step to the podium and state your name for the record before making your comments.
Hi.
Good evening.
Janine Giffray. I just wanted to say that I've been living here for a number of years and been watching. Hi. we go back that out of the way. Yeah. You would understand why I said I'm meeting avoidant. I've lived here a number of years, and I've been watching as construction has occurred in various areas of Stallion Springs. And one of the most consistent occurrences, in my opinion, has been that they take out oak trees accidentally, sometimes. And sometimes on purpose, sometimes they have to come out there in the way, I get that. But the abuse of the trees, the destruction of the trees, consistently it's happening. And then with watching what's been going on down by the mailboxes, bus stop, that's just horrific. That's a scenario where someone is going to get a house thinking they're getting oak trees and probably pay more money for a house with oak trees in this community of grassland and oaks. And then those trees are going to get sick because half their root zones are gone. And then they're going to call in a tree guy and they'll spend, $1,500 on that guy who's going to tell them he'll do some wazoo stuff and fix those trees. And then they'll die because the damage was already done. And then they'll pay another couple thousand to have to remove those trees. I was wondering, and my apologies for not recently reading CC&Rs, I was wondering who has those discussions with people when they're building houses, who has the discussions with contractors, who is ensuring that, it's in the question, who is ensuring that what's getting done doesn't continue to get done? And is it a scenario where they just need more education, be it the contractors and the public? Because we have so many new people coming in with little to no knowledge of oaks or the wildlife in them. So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up and encourage that you guys might take some steps to jerk some chains with contractors, educate them, because they didn't do that at my property, but I'm watching it elsewhere, and it just seems really unfair. So,
can I comment on it?
Thank you.
Am I allowed to comment on it? So, in the CC&Rs, there is a rule for taking any trees, I believe 14 inches or larger has to get CSD approval, correct?
Yes, Director Stock, through the chair, it is actually 4 inches.
Oh, 4 inches,
diameter,
not 14,
and larger.
Oh, that's
nice. And to kind of help you, Janine, understand some of what the process is, if it is an existing property, in other words, a developed property, and we have situations, unfortunately, where someone will come in and they've had an arborist out and they've shown the tree you know, has died for whatever reason or anything like that, they are required to fill out what's called an architectural control application, and request permission to remove the tree. And then I go out and inspect it to prove that they're being truthful. And then, you know, that would be at my discretion to approve or disapprove the removal. With regards to new construction, I know the contractor that you're referring to, and I know the property that you're referring to, and I want the general public and the board to know that Judy, who does our architectural control and plan approvals, and myself and the director of our Public Works Department did do a site visit recently and spoke with the contractor. This particular contractor was asked very specifically at the time that he was asking for his plans to be approved if he was going to be removing any trees, and the answer that we received was no. And lesson learned, I guess I have to start photographing these parcels because I have no way now of remembering what tree was where, you know?
Right.
So, and yeah, so it's very unfortunate that this has occurred, but it has prompted a change in policy, so.
That's wonderful, thank you. Yeah, because the term removal seems simple, but it still seems to need the language changed because it's causing death of the oak tree within a certain amount of time.
Right.
And by that time, homeowner is stuck with the problem, contractor's gone with his money, and it happens again. And I've seen it, you know, just from horse thief to here, well, and then, you know, going out the other way. I see multiple trees where it's bad enough when property owners don't have knowledge, but contractors, at least, there should be some teeth. So, yes.
Yes, so thank you for bringing that to us today. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Were there any other comments this evening? Yes.
This is Robert Bowers from, how do I say this, the property formerly known as Woodward West now. We're complete. Everything's will be signed over tomorrow, and we'll start, you'll get to see us a little bit more often.
Yay, I'm happy about that.
Yeah,
That's
so
good.
everything's going good, and we'll see what happens from here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for the update. All right. Any other community comments this evening? All right. Then we will move on to the Board of Directors time. This portion of the meeting is reserved for directors to present to the board and the public information, announcements, and items that have come to their attention. No formal action will be taken. A director may request that an item be placed on a future agenda for consideration. Jeff, did you have anything this evening?
I just wanted to say, we've been working on the trails. It's not really anything important. I do want to do a shout out to a guy named Jake Rogers. He's been phenomenal with helping. We have a ton of good members that have been helping. We are making a lot of headway on trails that have been neglected for a very long time. I am very happy with how the community has jumped up on this. So that's it.
Great, thank you for that. And I'm going to yield any time that I have this evening over to Ben so that we can...
Oh, well, I didn't realize it was going to happen this way, but first of all, I want to say to Jeff over there that, yeah, I have definitely noticed, and the part that I walk, hike nearly every day is been at least mowed this time. And last year, it was not mowed at all. I had to stop walking around this time because I just couldn't get through all the foxtails.
Yeah.
So, yeah, thank you to your crew and Jake for attacking this. I mean, I'm seeing a lot of progress. Yeah. I would just like to add to Janine my experiences with the property on Stallion Springs. I don't know the address, near Comanche, the mailbox is there. That is where my mailbox is located, and I don't go to the mailbox every day, but I have been really questioning what's been going on there. And people have talked to me nearly every time they see me about that property. I've addressed it a couple of times, at least once, with the GM early on, when the bathroom, the Johnny was first put out there. But really have kind of laid back since. I mean, we let private enterprise do what they do because we don't get involved unless it's something to do with the CSD and, you know, our infrastructure. And this is what I started to notice, is it's really, I would say, a good example of developer abuses that I've noted over the last couple of years, that we've had spec houses built all over this district. And it feels like it's becoming quite abusive. So I just want to relate one thing. Judy, if you can put on the video that I gave to you guys. Just run through it once. Okay, stop videoing there. This was Easter Sunday morning at 10 a.m. We can run through it again, but having walked it, and I didn't say anything to anyone, I had to veer around the bucket to keep it from hitting me. You can see me go around, and I was on the side of the road. You can't tell that easily. You can keep replaying it if you want without the sound. But I was on the side of the road the entire time. You can't tell that because there's so much dirt that they put out there and they don't clean it up. So, you know, I did stop to start videoing, never said anything. The woman in the truck was waving her finger at me, I guess. I didn't notice this till after I got back and got the video on my computer. I can't see my iPhone like this without my glasses. I use my glasses to do walks. So, you know, honestly, I felt like it was kind of an assault. And I fear for our elderly residents in encountering this kind of thing. My understanding is there's a leak at Stallion Springs on the road there, right in front of the turnout, that was possibly caused by the contractor or the developer, whoever it is. So I would like to ask that we put on the agenda at a future date, hopefully as soon as possible, some discussion that the board can have regarding developer abuse and responsibilities and ways to find them if necessary, so that we have some way of managing what to me has become kind of a pervasive problem. This isn't the only place I've noticed damage to infrastructure that is not being reimbursed to us by the people doing the damage. Can we put it on an agenda for later? Okay, great.
I wrote it down, Q.
Because that was my time. Now,
Now take my time.
Teresa has ceded her time to me, and this is going to be kind of long, I'm sorry. So I was asked to relate, I guess account for my time at the CSDA legislative days, which was a couple weeks ago. That's my third time. And I just want to set some context here of what this thing is that some of us have gone to. Teresa's been to it. I don't know anyone other than Teresa and I that have been to it, actually. So the first time I went, I didn't quite realize what it was, but what we're doing is representing our district and advocating for laws that are put before us, that bills that are becoming laws or whatever, in either the House or the Senate, depending on which one of our legislators we're seeing. And so we have these meetings set up by the CSDA with legislators to advocate for the laws that they have recommended. And so that's where it kind of starts, and it's good because you get to meet your legislators if you haven't before, but only if they're available. Sometimes they're not. They're in session and you can't meet them the time allowed. So it's kind of a bit of a crapshoot, you know, but you go and you either meet someone or you advocate for a law or to their legislative assistant. By the way, legislative assistants are the way into these offices, so no shade on them at all. But I know Teresa's done this, and you know, this year I was wondering whether I wanted to go back, because last year I decided that I did not want to advocate for the bills that were kind of general, maybe not affecting us directly, maybe so, but that I had something more important that I felt was going to affect every district in California. And the history of it is this. Last year in April, a bill was introduced, H.R. 2677, to the House of Representatives at the federal level. And the bill was very simple. I'm just going to quote it here because it's barely even a sentence. Requires the Director of the Office of Management and Budget to issue guidance to agencies requiring special districts, to be recognized as local government for the purpose of federal financial assistance determinations. Community service districts, especially ones that are infrastructure heavy like us, are really in need of funding sources. And although occasionally something good comes through, it's a kind of a model for government, frankly, as representational and as meager as I think it can get. It is incumbent on us to fight for funding opportunities every time we can, and they just aren't available. They aren't available because we're special districts. We're not municipalities. This law includes us in that bucket so that we can go ahead and get funding from other sources. I drafted a state law, California law, and at the time, last year, it was for the simple reason that nothing was moving in Congress. It didn't matter whether the federal law happened or not. I didn't feel like it was really targeted at us the way a state law could be. So I brought my draft of a state law very similar to this to the two legislators that were assigned to us. And that was Stan Ellis, our Assemblyman, 32nd District, and Shannon Grove, 12. Met with both of them. We lucked out. They were able to meet with us. And they both agreed that if I contacted them later in the year, that they would consider sponsoring it through the state assembly or Senate, whichever one applied. So I felt like I had it pretty well covered, but I didn't take it for granted that anything was going to happen. And I contacted both of their offices by mail and email several times last year and this year. Never got a response. So this year, I'm thinking, why do I even want to go back? I only went back for one reason, to find out why I didn't get a response. So this year, I was by myself, and the way they have this arranged is the other people in your network who are in your general area are also with you and go in to advocate for various things. And in this case, it was several women from the Eastern Kern Health District, and it was a fellow from Bear Mountain Recreational and Parks, and a director from Rosamond Community Service District. And so we all went into the various, first one we went into was Stan Ellis. He was available again. By the way, I have to say that last year when Teresa and I met with Stan Ellis, he was not looking happy. And it didn't surprise me that 2 weeks later, last summer, he decided he wasn't going to run for a second term. So his term is now going to be available. And having said that, we all went in to Stan Ellis's office, and everybody else forgot what they were going to say about the various bills, because you only have so much time to work on them. And basically the bills were, one was high-speed rail, where they, this one was really off the walls, but they wanted to divert local property taxes to the high-speed rail within a half-mile of rail stations, just so it would affect us. But it was couched to us at the meetings before we went in that this was the high-speed rail looking for money in the couch cushions, essentially. So that was of any interest to me. It didn't affect us. The other one was the use of AI, and there were two bills that were proposed they wanted us to address. And my stance on AI is, these were proposed, I think, and put forward by labor unions. And I'm, in general, in favor of labor unions, but these bills just, I think, pale in comparison to what I consider to be the existential threat of AI. So, again, I felt like I was okay to come in and basically get my case again on my original bill, which is a special districts fairness and accessibility bill, modeled after 2677 at the federal level. So we went into Stan Ellis's office, and he was there and met with us. People forgot what they were going to say about their bills, so it came to me, and I started giving basically the same speech, trying to get into, you know, the fact that it had been delivered before and get to the point where I could say, nobody ever responded to my email for what happened. Before I got halfway through, Stan says, I remember you from last year. And so, well, at least there was that, you know. And he invited me to resubmit it. But the issue here is this. All of our legislators at the California state level are either termed out or they're not going after their offices for the next year. So everyone that we met, we only met two, but the other was Tom Lackey, and he's through the 4th district over in Apple Valley, so really not in our district. Everybody was going to be gone at the end of the year. And the initiation of bills generally occurs in the first 3 months. So again, I'm kind of waiting on this thing, trying to get a foot in the door, and everything's going to get switched around. Well, here's the good part about this, about why we go to these things. And I couldn't have suspected any of this was going to happen, but here's the fun part. Yeah, Stan is not going to be there, but the only person running against him is David Couch of the Kern County Board of Supervisors, District 4, I believe. And so he is going to inherit the office, essentially. He's unopposed. So I have to put it for him next year. It turns out that the director from the Bear Mountain Recreation District is one of David Couch's assistants. And I spent all day with the director from Bear Mountain Recreation. So these things are about building relationships. And that's why we go, and if you want to go, anyone who hasn't, I guess I'm not talking to Jeff here, but in the future, I think that would be the main reason to go, and not to necessarily accomplish anything or anything specific. So we got back from our meetings, and the group of us went to a bar that was holding a reception afterwards. It's part of the whole ticket there and everything. And so we're drinking margaritas after 5. I only drink to be social. And we're talking about things, and I'm telling them, you know, I've never seen a legislator here in the couple years I've been here. They're not going to come to this thing. About 5 minutes later, Stan Ellis shows up. I found you. And he sits down and we just talk, all of us, not about politics, just about our lives. And he said it was the most fun he'd had all day, and that's why he came back to find us at this bar in Sacramento so that he could spend more time with us. Now, I'm not claiming I was any part of fun. It was clearly, as far as I'm concerned, everybody else at the table. But I just want to say that that was quite unexpected, and at the end of it, I don't think I have much politically in common with Stan Ellis. But I'm really sorrowful that he is not going to continue in the assembly, because I know I could work with him, because I sat down with him and we shared a margarita and we talked about our lives. And I don't know any better way to suggest that is really at the core of where we are in the country, basically, is people have to start talking like humans together again. And I'm sorry that took so much time, but I thought it might be interesting. Thank you.
I think you took part of mine from next month, so you can have that.
That was very interesting, Ben. Thank you very much, and thank you for going to represent Stallion Springs. Unfortunately, I thoroughly enjoy going every year. I enjoy speaking with people from the other districts. You learn so much about what's going on, what's needed in other districts, and pretty much how the politics is running and what they think about our district. So it's always a great thing to do. And I'm sorry I didn't get to go this year. My granddaughter got married, so I do have a valid excuse this year, but I do hope to be attending next year. So thank you for that. And no, I won't yield next month. I won't yield next month. All right, we'll move on. All right, so right now we have our next item on the agenda is our police report. Chief?
Good evening, community members, board directors, general manager. I did miss February. It has been kind of tough with staffing. However, we have made some improvements and there's things in the works. So we'll go with the month of February 1st. So I do apologize, but again, it's just due to the balance of work and life. And again, with February, March, I'll try to explain it the best I can. February, we had 1 arrest, 4 citations, 73 reports, 98 calls for service. The arrest was for a domestic incident where officers had to de-escalate a situation because he was becoming violent while we were there, and he was subsequently arrested for spousal battery. We did have 4 medical assists and 5 assisting other agencies. Primarily, it's been medical aids for the month of February. Moving on to March, we did not have any arrests. However, we did have 6 sexual child abuse cases and abuse cases, 3 sexual assault investigations, 4 identity theft or fraud investigations, 2 missing persons, and a check the welfare investigation, 1 including a resident being placed on an involuntary psychologic hold and then being transported to a care facility. An officer was also called out for a vehicle that was left abandoned in the roadway, partially in the roadway. The license was suspended for about, I think, a year and a half, and the driver did not possess a driver's license. As the officer was responding to that scene, they observed a individual carrying a gas can, so the officer made the assumption that was in regards to one another, but due to the circumstances, the vehicle was towed and the driver was cited. That month, the month of March, we did have 89 reports, 109 calls for service. We were called out 5 times, and then we had 6 assist other agencies, including Bear Valley and Kern County. And we did have 3 medical assists. and 4 vacation house checks. So again, the reason why I kind of broke down is obviously I try to make a synopsis, but again, when you look like there's not an arrest for the month, generally a lot of people will question that. But with these investigations that we did have, those all take a tremendous amount of resources and time and energy. Sometimes we have to go to another facility down in the Bakersfield area to conduct additional interviews. So one of the investigative tactics that we have is, I won't go into specifics, but again, we have to go to a facility where we work in partnership with an investigator, but it's basically law enforcement asking the questions. But we basically try to see how much additional information, and we can also see if there's more information or even some possible misinformation that was provided to us. But those facilitating those take a lot of time and transportation time as well. So again, that was the reason of kind of changing it, is that was a tremendous amount of work for our staff during that month. It really taxed us. But again, just showing that there is more that's happening in your community, and that we are having more significant investigations on a regular basis. And with that, as far as the police report is involved, does anyone have any questions for me? All right. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your continued efforts to keep us safe.
Thank you.
The next item on, excuse me. We need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the police report.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is our consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the board or an audience member requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. There are 5 items on the consent calendar this month. They are approval of the minutes March 17, 2026 regular board meeting, review of financial reports, approval of checks for March 2026, approval of CalPERS retirement payments, and review of well production report. Are there any items that needed to be set aside or removed from the calendar this month? Okay, if there are none, then we need
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file the consent calendar.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is our approval of our employment contract for our general manager. Approval of the employment contract between Stallion Springs Community Services District and Laura Lynn Wyatt, our general manager. In December of 2023, Laura Lynn Wyatt was hired under the probationary status as the general manager. On July 31st, 2024, the predetermined probationary term ended. Annually, the Board of Directors conducts an employee evaluation, interviews staff, and reviews the general manager's job performance. The Board of Directors feels that Laura Lynn has excelled in her role as the Stallion Springs CSD general manager and continues to serve the community with a high level of professionalism. After discussions with the Board of Directors and approval from legal counsel, an employment contract has been drafted reflecting the board's decision to increase Laura Lynn's salary by 10% effective upon approval of this contract. The recommendations are to approve the employment contract. Were there any comments or questions? No?
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file to approve the employment contract for the general manager.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you for your continued efforts to keep us floating.
Thank you very much. Jeff, you're doing just fine.
I'm sweating over here. Just file everything.
The next item on the agenda is to support Stallion Springs Foundation requested amendments to their bylaws. The Stallion Springs Foundation is requesting a CSD board approval, requested amendments to the SSSF bylaws. There were 2 items on there, the Support Stallion Springs Foundation, a nonprofit, organization was founded in 2019 under the umbrella of Stallion Springs Community Services District. Therefore, any amendments to the SSF bylaws must be approved by the SSCSD Board of Directors. This is vocabulary. The SSF Board of Directors is requesting the following change be approved. Please see draft and proposed changes attached. The recommendation is to approve the changes requested to the SSF bylaws.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's all right. There were just two items that were requested to be changed here, and they were on 3.2 of the authorized directors. The authorized number of directors of the Board of Directors of the Foundation shall be 11 and not less than 3. This shall be the exact number of directors until changed within the limits specified herein by duly adopted resolution of the Board. All 5 of the directors shall be designated by the Board of Directors of Stallion Springs Community Services District, subject to the following requirements, and those requirements were removed. They were redlined. And those, I believe, except for changed to two non-voting CSD staff members. Those were the only items that were requested to be changed.
Correct.
Were there any questions or comments in regards to the changes that are being requested by SSSF?
Well, I have my screen went blank here, and so I'm going off of this. But there was, I think, section 2. I think there might be something that needs correcting. It talked about the CFS.
The foundation shall have no members as a term defined by section 5056 of the California Foundations Code. Is that what you're referring
So
to?
the CFC, and it just says CCC?
I'm blind here because I don't have.
Okay.
So I think on here he's saying the CFC, and then it's abbreviated CCC.
Yeah, that was my point.
Mm-hmm. And that's a typographical error that was not caught back when it was adopted previously, so we'll have to make that edit.
Okay.
That was not a change that was made to the bylaws currently. So good catch. Thank you, Ben.
Now, I think it actually would be legal to call it anything you want in terms of an acronym, even if it didn't fit what was there. But it's not generally the way it's done.
Good catch, though.
Well, let me just add, so, I mean, it looks fine to me, but the one change I'm seeing that is that 5 directors have to be designated by this board, is that correct?
They were previously when the foundation was established. They're just requesting that the 5-member board be changed to 11 and not less than 3, and 2 non-voting CSD staff members be on the board. And currently that is our front desk clerk, Sandy Harden, and myself. We attend their meetings on behalf of the district.
It says all 5 of the directors shall be designated by the board of directors. That's not.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And again, that was when they were established in 2019.
Okay. So I just have another question here then. Are they no longer seeking to become independent of the district itself?
To my knowledge, they are not. That would be a very monumental undertaking on their behalf. They would have to dissolve and start from scratch and required to carry their own insurance. Right now they're under the CSD's umbrella, so it saves them a lot of
I know
money.
it was brought up a while ago that they wanted to. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, because we were looking for funding for public outreach for Measure A, and they could not legally do that. Looks like they're fine with that. They're not. We're not going to be able to expect any help from them in the future either. Okay.
Yeah, they cannot advocate because they're established by and under the umbrella of the CSD.
Okay.
So unless their board decides to dissolve and start from scratch as a separate entity, you know, then that's up to them.
All right. Thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or questions? Then we need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the support Stallion Springs Foundation bylaw amendments.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the approval of Resolution 2026-05. Approval of Resolution 2026-05, authorizing investment of monies in the local agency investment fund. In July of 2025, the Board of Directors approved an investment services contract with Optimize Investment Partners. Optimize has assisted the district with moving funds to higher yielding accounts with the goal of generating increased interest earned on deposited funds. One of those accounts is the local agency investment fund by the state treasurer. Under Government Code 16429.1, a resolution passed by the Board of Directors is needed authorizing Laura Lynn Wyatt, General Manager, and April Calhoun, Finance Officer, to deposit or withdraw monies with LAIF. The recommendations are to approve Resolution 2026-05. Laura Lynn, did you want to make any comments in regards to this?
Sure. I'll just add a little bit to the explanation of what's being requested and why it's being requested. Back in July, when the board did approve the service contract with Optimize, there were some other resolutions that were passed with regards to short-term funds. This is the long-term fund. And so that now that we have diversified a lot of our funds, meaning we've moved them out of the county pool and into a couple of U.S. bank accounts, they're doing very well. I'm happy to report. I got their quarterly report today, so it was too late to shove it in the board packet. So I apologize. It will be in your financials next month. So those short-term accounts, they're very liquid. We can move money frequently to cover, daily and needed expenses of the district. The LAIF account is, again, it's long-term, long-range planning. And that just came second because they wanted to get the short-term stuff set up first. So that's why that request is kind of later than the other ones, but that's what it's about.
Great, thank you. Were there any other questions for our general manager, or any comments? All right, then we need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept Resolution 2026-05.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda is approval of expenditure, approval to purchase cubicles and furniture for the police department office not to exceed $14,000. In anticipation of Measure A funds coming in next year and hiring additional personnel, the police department office will need additional office furniture. One of the only office cubicle and furniture manufacturers is HON? HON?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
In 2009, all the furniture, cabinets, and cubicles for the administration office and the police department were purchased at Stinson's. Fortunately, Stinson still had all the SSCSD records from the purchases in 2009. They can match what is currently in the police department office. The attached quote includes a discount that Stinson's offers for government offices. The recommendation is to approve expenditure for the purchase of police department office furniture not to exceed $14,000. Not sure how much elaboration is needed for that.
Well, I got some demo for you.
All right,
I got
great.
some stuff for you. So yes, we stumbled on a file from when this building was built that had all the information in it, including all the purchase orders from Stinson's with all of our office furniture. So that was a nice find, and I was hesitant. I thought, 2009, there's no way even the same person works there, right? Which I was correct, it was a different person, but they also keep very, very good records. And they were able to rattle off model numbers and everything for me. So they came up from Bakersfield and did a site visit and measured everything out. And they do, like I said, they do offer a discount, believe it or not. Furniture is expensive, and they're very high markup on furniture. So I want to kind of explain, though, the why, if you will. So if you can bring up the current map, Judy, the existing floor plan, that's the new one. Go to the existing, please. Oh, tab at the top. Yeah. There you go.
Trying to find the mouse.
There we go. Okay. So this is a CAD rendering of this building that we're in right now. And I wish I had a laser pointer for you, but if y'all see on the far right there, that's the room we're all sitting in right now. That's the boardroom. And just on the other side of this wall is the police department. And you'll notice there's a chief's office, a sergeant's office, and 4 cubicles. And if you look there, just inside the entryway, there's a kind of a coved wall for the sergeant's office that creates a lot of wasted space. It's very cumbersome. You can't really do anything else with that space. The police department doesn't have like an additional waiting room need or anything like that. They utilize our lobby for that. So then what do? We need to increase personnel, and we need to hire more officers. We need, well, now for the first time historically, for the chief, he has an administrative clerk that we have brought on. Where are these people going to sit, right? And when the building was designed, it was such a large improvement over where they had been that they didn't really plan for the future very well. They didn't plan for expansion. And I'll let Chief elaborate more on that in a few minutes. But if you can go ahead and go to the proposal. We are proposing that we move the sergeant's office back into what is currently just a storage and break room and add 2 more cubicles so that we can house the chief, the sergeant, and the administrative assistant, and up to 5 officers. And we do have a part-time officer, too, that comes in kind of off hours, so that could be a scenario down the road where there would be a shared desk situation if we do get fully staffed. But we're trying to plan for the future. We're trying to say, what does the police department look like in 5 years? What does it look like in 10 years? And how do we plan for that personnel? And so that's where we are today. That's our proposal. The walls are not load-bearing, so they can easily be moved and reconstructed, and we are very fortunate that we have staff that are previous general contractors, so this is a very easy project for us to complete in-house. We don't have to bring in, you know, a third party and pay prevailing wage and all that. We wouldn't be able to afford to do that at this time. So, Chief, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Yeah, certainly. So our constituents, you the voters, did vote for this police building in roughly, I think the vote was in 2018, and we built it in 2019. With that said, it came from our humble beginnings, if you're aware of where you take your trash. The transfer site, and then where the POA building was recently, that was the humble beginnings of the police department. So literally it was probably about the size of my actual office, believe it or not, with your back towards the door, and it was a lot of stuff. So we were very fortunate to have the support of our community to vote with that, and then the thought process was should do it all in one, because again, at that time, the community service district was sharing resources with the police department because we didn't have that revenue source. So that was the same thought process when we built here. If you look at it, I mean, it somewhat is delineated, but there's still more, I think, administrative parts of the building that go to the community service district as opposed to the police department. So again, we were just very fortunate and happy to have the accommodations that we had, because it did professionalize what we had from existing. But again, when we had this in 2009, we were dealing with the same staffing levels of the original police department. Again, we're looking at 50 years. 1976 is when we became post-certified, so right around the same time. Ironically, we're still kind of dealing with the same staffing, but we're improving upon those things as we speak. So at that time, you know, the space was adequate for our staffing levels, but now with the expansion of things that we have, it's provided very little flexibility for growth. And although, again, our staffing remains very similar, we have some new positions that we've created that I'm very happy to have and share with you here in hopefully in the short future. But we need the ability to expand. So to support the transition and maintain a professional and consistent appearance, again, our plan is to procure furniture and equipment that matches a current setup. And again, since there's such a long duration, it is very difficult to match. But we've been told by Stinson's that they can do the best they can and match it. Why is that important? Is you have to look at it as we are still the smallest police department in Kern County, but this is our headquarters. I want you and our board of directors and everyone to have a professional polished project as opposed to like a hodgepodge of mismatching equipment. Not talking about our old police department. Believe it or not, there was in the old police department, there was items that was taken by salvage that we were using. So again, professionalizing and look at, as you come in here as a potential victim or a visitor, you want to automatically think like, oh, wow, this is a professional organization, as opposed to, wow, this is kind of hokey. And that's what we have now. I'm very proud of the equipment and the building that we have, but you know, we are really taxed out. Again, we didn't really think about these additional positions that we have created because we've never had them in the history of our department. So now we're at that transition to provide better services to our community. So with that said, I do recognize that this is a very significant expenditure, and I do believe it's necessary to support our department's continued development and long-term vision, and it does serve as a practical short-term solution while we evaluate something for future endeavors. Again, we don't have any plans of expansion or going back to the community, but certainly we have these new positions. We have to look at alternatives to accommodate them. So it's in-house, so we don't have to rely on putting them in other areas. Again, it's just the polished professional product. With that said, there's going to be a lot of drastic changes, soundproofing, things that were not really thought of that are proposed in this plan to make it, again, more professional. Believe it or not, when you're in my office, you can hear the conversations that we're having in here. Having that in mind, we want to try to eliminate those things, but we want to try to make the department, again, functional and professional for future generations and officers to come. So that's really the thought process, but I do know it's a fairly large expenditure and a project, but I don't have very many alternatives, unfortunately. So that's kind of what this proposal comes from.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions for Chief? If there are no other comments or questions, we need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve for the expenditures of the office equipment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
The only thing I'd like to change is instead of saying if we become fully staffed, we will.
I'm very, very happy. Believe I will share that we it's good. At a cost, but we are doing the most backgrounds that our department has ever done at any given time. So I'm very happy.
And very busy.
Very busy. There's a lot that's going on at any given time right now. So I hope by next month or the following month I'm able to share some of those things, but I feel very happy and confident that you will understand and you will provide a higher level of service to you. So that's what you expected from us with Measure A and always. So I think we are going to accommodate that more than you really anticipated. So I'd like to hopefully have a word soon.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
All right, the next item on the agenda is committee reports. We have the CCNR committee and the Measure A committee. Do we have any reports for either?
Isn't the general manager's
No,
first?
the committee report here.
My bad.
That's okay.
So which one's first? CCNR's?
CCNR committee.
And, yeah, So I will, I will take this.
Good.
So, we have not met. However, there will be set meetings in the extremely near future. And I think especially, with the Measure A committee, because I will be, bringing a preliminary budget to the board in May. So I think it's critical that that committee, meet at least once or twice prior to that, so they can, you know, have their input and understand what this is going to look like financially for the district. So right now, tonight, there are no reports, but there will definitely be in May.
All right, thank you very much. And that was for both BCC and our
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have nothing to receive and file this evening.
Awesome.
The next item on the agenda is our general manager's report. General manager?
Thank you. Good evening. It's been a very busy month, as Chief alluded to. But I want to share a couple of very exciting things with the board this evening and the audience. If you recall, last month, the board approved the rehabilitation or rehab project for well P17. All new 3-inch well casing and submersible pump with all new wire and well sounding tube are installed. And I will actually go off the rails a little bit here and ad-lib, because as of today, there's water coming out of it. So we were waiting, when I had to post the agenda, we were waiting on a couple of electrical components. And then after posting the board packet, those electrical components came in, and so the work was completed today. So we need to flush it out for a little bit and then get samples down to Bakersfield, of course. As long as those samples come back, it will be going online. I got a video if anybody wants to see water coming out of a piece of pipe. But that's very exciting news. And the biggest news is that I'm very proud and happy to announce that the Stallion Springs CSD wastewater treatment plant has been awarded a grant from the California State Water Resources Control Board in the amount of $1,374,000. And this is for the installation and purchase of the screw press project that we've talked about many times. This grant requires no matching funds. Very exciting. Those are very hard to find and hard to get. A screw press works by separating water from sludge by forcing it through a screen using a slow rotating screw auger. That's why it's called a screw press. As the sludge moves along the tube, the solids concentrate until they reach a pressure plate, which produces a very dry, solid residue called cake. Why is this important? It's important because currently, if you all take your trash and peek over to the wastewater plant, we use a very antiquated method of drying beds. And drying beds are very challenging in the land of four seasons. If it rains, you start over. If you need to dump more on top of it, the sludge underneath doesn't dry. It's extremely, extremely heavy. And it has to be disposed of in a very, how do I say this, strategic and strict manner. And it goes to Lost Hills, believe it or not. And we are charged by the ton to take that to Lost Hills. So this is going to be a huge savings. Not only will it improve the way the treatment plant functions and meet a lot of the state mandates that the grand jury report findings came back a few years ago, things like that. It's going to check all those boxes, but we're basically hauling sawdust now down the hill instead of mud. So this is extremely exciting. We just found out right before the board packet was completed. There's a lot of state requirements. You'll see a big sign go up If you've been to our parks, you know a lot of the park improvements were done by Prop 68 grant. It is a requirement of the grant to post that prominently. So when you take your trash, you're going to see a big sign on the fence about the project. So you'll know that we're moving along, and it's going to take several months, obviously. The grant requires us to be 100% completed by 2030. We anticipate we'll be finished long before that, unless there's any issues. So anyway, so that's big news. That's huge.
That's awesome.
That is great news. Thank you for that. That's a long time in coming. I know you worked very hard on that.
I started working, it's been the entire time I've been here, 2.5 years, so, yeah.
Just for curiosity's sake, is that new auger, is that requiring any other construction, or does it use the same pond structure?
No, it's a completely separate piece of equipment that will be mounted on a concrete slab and covered. And then, so yes, it's the grant doesn't just cover the piece of equipment, it also covers all of the costs, engineering, electrical, concrete, everything that's going to take to install the equipment.
So will the drying ponds remain, or will that be used in the?
That will be probably used in place of the ponds. We toured the City of Tehachapi's wastewater treatment plant yesterday, and they dumped the new sawdust type material into their old drying bed and then scoop it out of there and place it in the hauler to go to Lost Hills. So they're still used, they're just used in a different manner.
Vanessa and I used to joke about skateboard park.
Yeah, probably not. The one thing that really stood out and that was very interesting to me that I noticed immediately as soon as I got out of the car is there's no odor. And the flies were very minimal. So it's a huge improvement. It's historical for the wastewater treatment plant. So we're very excited.
Thank you.
That's all I have for this evening, unless anybody has questions.
All right, thank you again for that.
Thank you.
Anything on Parks and Recs that we need to be aware of?
Oh, boy, they're busy. You'll notice the cover's off the pool. We're starting to get it cleaned up. We're busy with the car show. Car show is May 20th. Please come. It's a fundraiser for our police department. It was extremely successful last year. Did I say?
June
20th.
We could have it in May, June.
No. June 20th. There's already some advertisements going out. We've already got people signing up. We've got food trucks up, I think 5 she's got committed now. Live band is ready to go, so it's going to be a big party. So please come to our car show. And then we're doing kids camp, we're hiring lifeguards, we're getting ready for the whole summer rush at Park and Rec.
Wonderful, thank you.
I have a question. It says we have put in a request for an in-person meet and greet
Yes.
from a Bakersfield Condor player, and even though it's a long shot, didn't you mean slap shot?
Maybe. But yes, that's for kids camp. They have a different theme every day of the week for kids camp. And this year for sports themed day, our recreation manager, Jasmine, got the idea, and she has reached out to the Bakersfield Condors to see if we can maybe get a personal visit from one of the players to kids camp. And she's also reached out to the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Can anyone come to that one?
I know. I'm like, do we get to know ahead of time who the person is? Yeah. There'll be a lot of adults at kids camp that day, right? That's funny.
We used to do a lot of the Dodgers on Valley City. You get to be tired, Dodgers.
That's okay. I'll take Steve Garvey all day long. Ron Say, Rick Monday, I got it all day long. My dad was a huge fan. I grew up with the Dodgers, so I'm good.
Awesome. Well, we adult children look forward to that.
Yes, we will. Yes, thank you.
All right. Were there any questions for our general manager this evening? All right, we just need a motion to receive and file.
I would like to make a motion to receive and file the field report and manager's report.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And the final agenda is to adjourn. I need a motion to
I
adjourn.
would like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Meeting
you.
adjourned.
Thank you, everyone, for being
Thank you so
here.
much for attending this evening, everyone.